Welcome back to the cryptowrld channel, everyone. My name is Josh, and right now Bitcoin is still struggling around this area of resistance, but is now potentially forming a new pattern in the short term that we need to pay attention to, while a massive area of liquidity is once again starting to build on this chart. So I'll be talking about that in just a moment, alongside Ethereum also continuing its breakout to the upside but still running into this short-term resistance, while Solana is also continuing its breakout to the upside. So I'll be talking about all of that and more later in the video, so definitely watch to the end. First of all, just before getting into the Bitcoin charts today, taking a look at the Bitcoin news today, and on Tuesday, we saw another decent sized net inflow into the spot Bitcoin ETFs. And so as we can see right here, we saw a net inflow of around $305.7 million US coming into the spot Bitcoin ETFs just on Tuesday. And so as I've said recently here on the channel, if we continue to see this buying pressure coming into the spot Bitcoin ETFs, then it's likely that the bullish price action will continue for Bitcoin if we continue to see these type of net inflows basically every day, as we've seen over the last 1 week or so. And also in some other Bitcoin news today is actually Bitcoin Pizza Day, which, in case you're new to all of this, exactly 14 years ago today, someone actually bought 2 pizzas for 10,000 Bitcoin, which is currently worth around $700 million US. And this was an important transaction in Bitcoin's history, not just because of the amount of Bitcoin that was, but also this was the first ever transaction in Bitcoin's history that was the first transaction for a real world product. And so this is essentially when Bitcoin started to become money itself rather than just some random internet coin, because once again, 14 years ago today, it was actually used for the first time ever to buy a real world product. And hopefully for that guy right there, hopefully those pizzas were some very good pizzas, because obviously this is $700 million we're talking about that he essentially sacrificed to make Bitcoin's history. And so the lesson here is it's better to hold Bitcoin over the long term as a form of money rather than pizzas or US dollars or really anything else, because once again, Bitcoin's scarcity proves itself time and time again. As always, not financial advice. And with that being said, taking a look at the Bitcoin charts today, taking a look at the 3-day time frame first of all, and right now this hidden bullish divergence is still playing out in the larger bullish trend on the 3-day time frame. And so over the last 1 day, nothing has really changed on this chart right here. We're still looking very bullish on the larger time frames. And if we're taking a look at the daily time frame, something similar can be said here on the daily chart. But with that being said, the DXY is experiencing a slight bounce to the upside, at least just here in the short term. And so just when we're talking about the much shorter term here, technically this is a bit of a bearish signal for now in the price of Bitcoin. But overall, as we've seen over the last couple of weeks, the DXY has been trending more bearish than bullish, which is bullish for Bitcoin, as we can see here time and time again. And so in order to expect this bullish trend to continue in the price of Bitcoin, we ideally need to see another drop to the downside again sometime soon in the DXY to basically continue that short-term bearish trend in the DXY, which once again would be bullish for Bitcoin and crypto. And if we're taking a look at the daily Bitcoin RSI, this is also still looking more bullish than bearish, as I've been saying basically every day over the last couple of weeks. So since my last video, this chart right here has not really changed all that much, which means if you're new to the channel and you want to know more about this chart right here or any of these other charts, then check out my last video here on the channel, because since my last video, they haven't really changed all that much. And if we're taking a look at this daily Bitcoin chart, obviously we have seen a little bit more of a rejection from this exact area of resistance, which, by the way, this area of resistance is sitting in between around 72 to 74,000, mainly based on these previous highs. And once again, we saw pretty much a perfect rejection from just about exactly $72,000, which once again is now acting as resistance. We should be expecting the price to struggle around that area. And as for support, just in case we end up seeing some sort of further rejection or pullback in the price of Bitcoin, we should have major support in this price range in between 67 to 68,000 if we actually pull back to that area. But essentially in the shorter term, the price of Bitcoin is just somewhat stabilizing. It's cooling off a little bit after that extreme bullish price action that we saw over the last 1 week or so, which was mainly a result of a major short squeeze playing out, which is also what I talked about before it actually happened. But while the price is somewhat stabilizing, cooling off in the shorter term, if we're taking a look at just the 1 hour time frame, this is zoomed all the way into the short term, we do have a potential symmetrical triangle pattern, also known as a horizontal triangle pattern, with this ascending line of support and a descending line of resistance. And as of right now, this line of support is sitting at around 69.5k approximately, and this line of resistance is currently sitting at around 70.8k approximately. And we also have some short-term resistance in this price range right here based on these local highs in between around 71.3k to 71.6k. And once again, we have a lot of resistance in this price range that I just mentioned earlier. But essentially, if we see a break below this support or above this resistance, that will set up a short-term price target for this pattern right here. And speaking about that potential price target, if we see a confirmed breakout above that line of resistance, that will set up a bullish price target for that triangle pattern at around 73.4k. Or on the other hand, if we see a break to the downside below that line of support with confirmation, then in that case, that will set up a bearish price target for that pattern at around 66.9k. And so either way, we're looking at potentially around a 3 to 4% move in the price of Bitcoin, either above resistance or below support, once we actually confirm one of those signals. And so basically, if we start breaking below these lows right here, so ideally below around 69,000 give or take, then we should expect to move down towards this area of support. But honestly, I would not be surprised if we end up seeing some sort of range-bound price action here for the price of Bitcoin in the shorter term, potentially in the coming days, maybe even over the next 1 week or so, basically as a bit of a cool-off after that extreme bullish price action. But remember, whatever happens in the short term, whether we see a bit more of a pullback or sideways consolidation, either way, all of this is still currently occurring within a much larger bullish trend that is still playing out on the larger timeframes. Because as always, it's important to understand the difference between the different time frames. So in the short term, this can flip between bullish and bearish basically every day. But on the larger time frames, this has remained bullish for quite some time now and is still looking more bullish than bearish on the larger time frames in terms of the larger trend that is playing out. And so when it comes to my trading strategy, since my last video, my trading strategy has not changed one bit. I'm still currently in this Bitcoin long position, which is still currently a 180k Bitcoin long position, like I said in my last video. And I've already secured some profits out of this long position, and I have my stop loss well into profits. And so basically in the worst case scenario, I'm still making a decent chunk of money from this trade. I've still secured some profits and the stop loss is in profits. But of course, in the best case scenario, if we continue to see more bullish price action, then I would continue to profit from this long position either way. So either way, at this point, it's basically a win-win trade. And obviously, I've been sharing this trade basically step by step every single day since I entered the trade all the way back down here, which I was sharing here on the channel below $60,000. And so if you're new to the channel, this is why it's important to subscribe to this channel with notifications turned on so that you don't miss out on any of these important update videos where I actually share these trading opportunities from time to time when I'm taking these trades to potentially make a lot of easy money. And if you also want to take trades just like this, then make sure to check out this exchange which I'm trading on right now, which is Bybit. So I'll make sure to leave a link to Bybit down below in the description and in the pinned comment. And if you use that link down below this video to make a Bybit account and deposit on that account, then you can get up to a $30,000 deposit bonus, but only if you use that link down below this video. And also, if you use that link, it'll take you to this page right here where you can claim an exclusive 200 USDT airdrop position just by making a Bybit account using that link, making a deposit and claiming the airdrop. And so if you're going to be trading crypto anyway, you might as well check this out. Once again, first link down below this video. But for whatever reason, if you cannot access Bybit or if you cannot KYC on Bybit, there is also Bitflex, which is another crypto exchange similar to Bybit, but you don't need KYC for Bitflex. So I will also make sure to leave a link to Bitflex down below this video as an alternative crypto exchange. And if we're taking a quick look at the Bitcoin liquidation heat map, we can see a new area of liquidity is starting to build up in the short term above the current Bitcoin price, sitting at around 72,000 approximately, or more specifically in between around 71.9k to 72.3k. And so as of right now, we do have a few $100 million worth of liquidity sitting right around 72,000, which means a few $100 million worth of short positions will get liquidated once the price eventually crosses above that area. And so that basically means we could expect a continued short squeeze in the price of Bitcoin if we see a breakout above 72,000, but obviously until then, those positions will not get liquidated. And also keep in mind that this amount of liquidity at around 72,000 is roughly around 10 times less than the area of liquidity that was previously sitting right at around 67 to 68,000. Because in between around 67 to 68,000, before we saw this breakout, we had billions of dollars of liquidity sitting right at around 67 to 68,000. And so once again, when we saw this breakout to the upside, that caused a major liquidation, a major short squeeze, pushing the price much higher. And so essentially, if we see a breakout above around 72,000, we could see something similar, but not necessarily on the same scale. And with that being said, taking a look at Ethereum on the weekly time frame, and right now the price of ETH is still in a much larger bullish trend on the larger time frames, also known as a bull market. And so, of course, on the weekly time frame, not much has changed over the last one day. So if we're taking a look at the daily time frame, we are also still seeing this breakout to the upside for this bullish falling wedge pattern, which means we still have a technical price target for this pattern to the upside, sitting just underneath 4.1k, or more specifically around 4070. And so from the point of the breakout to that price target, that was potentially around a 26% move to the price target, or even from where we are right now to that price target, that's still potentially around a 9% move to the upside until we complete this pattern. And this price target would only become invalidated if we invalidate the pattern by seeing a break back below the point of the breakout. So basically we would have to break back below roughly around 3.2k. And if we're taking a look at the 8-hour time frame, taking a look at the Fibonacci levels of resistance, we are still finding a lot of resistance almost exactly at the 78.6% Fibonacci level, which is sitting at around 3820. And so, like I said in my last video, expect the price to struggle around that level on the chart, which so far is playing out as expected just in the short term here. And as for short-term support, we do have support in this golden pocket, which was previous resistance, sitting in between around 3.6k to around 3650. And just over the last one day, we saw almost a perfect bounce from around 3650. But in a more bearish scenario, if the price actually broke back below around 3.6k, then in that case, we should find more support at around 3450 and more support at around 3.3k. And as for other short-term resistance, once again, we do have that resistance at 3820, but if we break out above that level, then we should see a fairly quick move up towards around 4070, basically this previous high, because between this resistance and this high, we don't really have a lot of resistance between those levels. And if we're taking a look at the price of Solana on the 8-hour time frame, we also still have an active breakout and price target for this pattern right here, which is a bullish inverse head and shoulders pattern. And as always, this pattern would only invalidate if we see a break back below the point of the breakout, which is sitting at around $160. And so right now, we still have this active bullish price target in play, which is sitting at around $208 to $209. But keep in mind, between now and that price target, there are some resistance areas between now and then. First of all, we do have this area of resistance in between around 182 to 186 and a little bit more resistance at around 188 as we've just found recently. And based on previous highs in the price of Solana, we do have a lot of resistance in between $200 and $210, which is where the price is most likely going to struggle at. And as for short-term support, in case we see a further rejection from this resistance, then in that case, we should find some support in this price range in between 167 to 172. And below that, we have more support based on previous resistance at around 160. And in a more bearish scenario, if we invalidated the breakout by seeing a break below 160, then we should have significant support in this price range in between 140 to 144. And so those are the important areas to pay attention to on the chart, but overall, we still have an active bullish price target in play, at least for now. And once again, if you want to trade these moves in the price of any crypto, check out the links down below this video to claim these extra bonuses. And if you want to actually know how to trade these moves in the price of any crypto, no matter if the price is bullish, bearish, or chopping around sideways, then make sure to watch these videos popping up right here on your screen. The video in the top left shows you how you can profit from bullish or bearish price action using long positions or short positions, and the video in the bottom left shows you how you can easily profit from choppy sideways price action. But anyway, that is everything that I have to say for today. I really hope you enjoyed, and I'll see you all in the next video.